Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call this September 9th, 2024 council meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to the roll call this evening, we're going to have a dedication of a bench out front here of City Hall for C.B. McClure, and I think the mayor has a few comments prior to us going out there and prior to the roll call. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. So from the press release, it's really the McClure family, although we're recognizing C.B. McClure, but the McClure family has served our community for many, many years and several generations. So C.B. McClure's father, N.H. McClure, was the mayor of the village of Medina from 1895 to 1898, and he also served as a Medina County Common Pleas judge and county prosecutor. C.B. McClure served in the military, in the Army Coast Guard Artillery in California, and the Army Air Corps in England, France, Belgium, and Germany. He saw the atrocities of the German concentration camps and participated in the war crime trials. He was a clerk treasurer for the village of Medina. He was the first mayor of Medina under the new charter system and served from 1954 through 1957. He was a Medina police prosecutor from 1963 to 1968, and then served as Medina Municipal Court judge for 18 years. And following C.B. McClure is his son Douglas, who is here with us, following in the family tradition. Doug served 6 years in the United States Navy and 29 years in the Ohio Naval Militia. He's also a 30-year member of the American Legion Post. He's on the City Archives Commission, and he's been active for over 20 years with the Medina Police Community Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. And we just want to thank the family for their generations of public service. And we will all now go out for the bench dedication.
Thank you. Okay. Gonna wait one more minute so we get everybody back in. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Simpson.
Here.
Coin.
Here.
DeSalvo.
Here.
Hare. Hazeltine. Rose.
Here.
Shields.
Here.
Reading of the minutes,
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting of August 26, 2024, as prepared and submitted by the clerk, be approved.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Will the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the minutes?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee met prior to council this evening, and if you notice, the agenda is one of the longest agendas that we have since we came back from break, so hopefully everybody's ready for that. Health, Safety, and Sanitation, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, nothing to report.
Public Properties, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, no report this evening.
Special Legislation, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report and no meeting scheduled.
And Emerging Technologies, Mrs. DeSalvo.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, we are contemplating having our next meeting upcoming in October, I believe, and we will come up with an agenda and report back after that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Requests for council action, we have several for the Finance Committee. We have 24-181, waiver of uncollectible accounts. 24-182, purchase of security trailer for I2C Technologies for the Police Department. 24-183, rescind ordinance 9224 JCG 26 Sandwich Food Corp. 24-184, expenditure to technology engineering, email, Muni Court and City. 24-185, RFPs, drug screening. 24-186, grant application, ODOT bump outs. 24-187, 2024 police vehicle purchase, Montrose Ford for 5 vehicles. 24-188, ground lease with University Hospitals with the airport. 24-189, ratify 1976 agreement with county commissioners. And 24-190, purchase of 6 Stryker ballistic shields from Protect Sales. Reports of municipal officers. Mayor Howell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The State of the City was presented to council tonight right before this meeting, and will be presented to the chamber tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. at Williams on the Lake. Subsequent to those, it'll be edited and then put on for public view. The 9/11 memorial ceremony will be held at the memorial just south of Medina Fire Station 1 on this Wednesday, 9/11 at 09:50 a.m., so 10 minutes to 10. And last but not least, the Main Street Medina will hold the annual Medina Fall Fest on Public Square Saturday, September 28th, and the event is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for further details, you can go to Medina Main Street website, which is www.mainstreetmedina.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durham, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the interest of time with the long agenda, I will pass and comment on the things that came from Mike.
Appreciate that. Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Mrs. Marshall, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items to note. This Friday, which is September 13th, we have one ribbon cutting, and it's dedication for the Mama Va lactation pod at the Medina County District Library. This is something new. It's the first one of its kind in Medina County. So in their children's department, they will now have what they call a Mama Va lactation pod for breastfeeding parents. And for those that are interested in utilizing it, you can download their Mama Va app from the App Store or Google Play to learn if the pod is in use and to access it. The library location makes this lactation space convenient for library patrons, but also the thousands of visitors to Medina Square who attend our many events held there year-round. And the pod was made possible through grant funding from the Cleveland Clinic Foundation. So this Friday at 1 o'clock, we're having a little dedication ribbon cutting for that new amenity, and this is a collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street Medina. And the second item is I just wanted to give council a quick update on the Legacy Hotel bond PACE financing. The PACE financing did close last week on Wednesday, and so we're very excited about that. This was our first PACE financing deal as a result of the Energy Special District that we formed several years ago. And I would like to thank the mayor, city council, and Mr. Huber for all their help to get this project over the finish line, because obviously there was a lot of paperwork and law director's opinion that had to be taken care of. So thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Markham, Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Sergeant Zaremba, IT Specialist.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Mr. Gladys, Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Ms. Lestuka, Police Department, Municipal Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Mr. Bacoli, Service Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Mr. Patton, City Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Chief Walters, Fire Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Mr. Dutton, Planning Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Notices, communications, and petitions, there are none. Unfinished business, we have one. Ordinance 14624.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I move that ordinance 146-24 be presented for a second reading tonight and put before council for consideration only.
Second.
Ordinance 14624 is an ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Medina, Ohio by the addition of a new chapter 164, transient lodging tax. Mr. Rose, I think you have a comment on this.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. President. In rereading it second, third, fourth time, I forget, I noticed in, we're going to need to amend paragraph 164.99, Part A. I guess there was a copy-paste error that I missed with regard to the taxes. It refers to income taxes. We need to modify that to refer to lodging taxes. And then further down in Part B, there's a section or a sentence in there that talks about if the person who violates the crime is a city employee in any way, shape, or form, we need to remove that language as well. So.
All right. Any further discussion on the second reading?
Mr. President, I wanted to bring up an issue that Stan brought to my attention. It has to do with the use put to the tax. There's a code section that Stan has me looking at that may require we put half of this tax toward, what is that thing called? Convention and Visitor Bureau, which I never heard of, and I don't even know what that is yet. So we might be needing to modify that. I'm not familiar with this tax law that much, and we picked ours up from the city of Brunswick and Wadsworth, and I guess maybe they're not doing it right either. I don't know.
Okay.
We're going to need to look at that.
Well, that's great. That's why it's a second reading, so we can get all this information out. And I think there's going to be a convention, and Mr. Sheets, I think if that's what you're talking about, there's a convention center attached to this hotel, if it goes to that, or is it in general for the whole county, but we could figure that out.
You can figure it out. It's to a convention bureau, whether it be the county or your own, if the city has one.
Okay.
Or in relation to the hotel.
Okay.
But there is a requirement that part of that hotel tax be used for the promotion of tourism, bring people to that county.
That's kind of what we wanted to do with the money anyways, is to use it to promote the area around the square for tourism, to use the hotel. So I think we just have to word it properly and maybe make a modification to it within the ordinance itself to make sure that it's defined properly. So.
Yes, it's 50%. 50%
Okay.
go to the general fund, 50% dedicated to that source.
Okay. All right. Well,
Miss-
we'll look that in and make the modification, I guess. Kimberly.
So can we clarify, are you talking about when you say promotion, is it marketing or is it other
I have
items?
no idea. I provided the Attorney General's opinion to Mr. Huber
Well, we appreciate that and appreciate that bringing it to our attention because we want to make sure we do this correctly, even if the information we receive from other communities may not be. We want to make sure that we do it correctly. So we'll look into that, and thanks for your comment, Paul. So before the third reading comes, we'll have those answers, hopefully. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, introduction of visitors. Members of the public were permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to the introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there's a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the rear microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council at this time? It's your chance. No? Okay. Move on. Introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. At this time, I entertain a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on the following ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 148-24, Resolution 149-24, 150-24, 151-24, 152-24, 153-24, Ordinance 154-24, 155-24, 156-24, 157-24, 158-24, 159-24, 160-24, 161-24, 162-24, 163-24, 164-24, 165-24, 166-24, 167-24, 168-24, and Ordinance 169-24.
Mr. President?
Mr. Shields.
Well done there. But I'll make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings of tonight's ordinances and resolutions.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Ordinance 148-24, an ordinance authorizing the job creation grant payment of $53,491.89 to Carlisle Brake and Friction, AKA Friction Products, for the tax year 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mrs. Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. President. This request is to authorize the job creation grant payment for Carlisle Brake and Friction for tax years 2023. This is for 2 expansion projects. And just a reminder to council and the public that the funding for these grants comes from non-income tax generated revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 148-24 passes 5-0.
Resolution 149-24, a resolution accepting the grant award from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services Specialized Docket Subsidy Project, funding grant for the Medina Municipal Court's Veteran Treatment Court.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Cindy?
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is a grant that we've received the 3rd year in a row from OMAS. It's a $75,000 grant that will be applied to our Veterans Treatment Court.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the resolution? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Resolution 149-24 passes 5-0.
Resolution 150-24, a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application for grant assistance with the Bureau of Justice Assistance, U.S. Department of Justice, for the Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant, JAG program for the police department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Lieutenant Markham.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is permission to apply for a JAG grant to cover the cost of cancer screenings for employees. The total amount is $27,258.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Resolution 150-24 passes 5-0.
Resolution 151-24, a resolution accepting the ARPA grant award from the Medina County Board of Development Disabilities for the Medina Municipal Court.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Cindy?
Thank you, Mr. President. So we're proud to partner with the Medina County Developmental Disabilities to put in a adult changing table in the new 1969 courthouse.
Thank you. That'll be a great addition. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Resolution 151-24 passes 5-0.
Resolution 152-24, a resolution authorizing the filing of an Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, targeted brownfield assessment grant application for the environmental assessments of the former Yost Sunoco site located at 426 West Liberty Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I originally put this in, I had requested emergency clause, so do we need that, or do we not need it for
No,
resolution?
it's a resolution, it's
Okay.
automatic.
Okay, so the request is for to authorize the mayor to apply for the Ohio EPA Targeted Brownfield Assessment Grant to cover the cost of environmental assessments for the former Yosunoko site at 426 West Liberty, and to execute any and all documents. And we will also work with Medina County Auditor on a site access agreement for the state of Ohio's contractor. If this grant is approved, the entire cost is picked up by the state of Ohio, so there are no matching funds on our part. And as an update to my previous report 2 weeks ago, we still have not heard back from the state of Ohio on that grant we sent in early this year. So I'm calling this Plan B. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the resolution? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Resolution 152-24 passes 5-0.
Resolution 15324, resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application for the Ohio Cybersecurity Grant to assist with purchases of security software and services to boost preparedness and resilience of cybersecurity attacks.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Sergeant Zaremba.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for approval to file for a $20,000 grant in the state of Ohio. It's a one-time fee to get some cybersecurity software and penetration testing in place at the city.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, Paul.
Thank you. Sergeant Zaremba, are we required to buy a particular type of software, or can we go out on our own and purchase what we feel is best for the city?
Right. No, we're not required by the state. There's some checks and balances that they want us to participate in after, and we have a vendor in mind that is scale of economy to what the city of Medina's size would be.
Okay, it's not a crowd strike, is it?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Resolution 153-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15424, an ordinance amending section 3105 and 3107 of the Salaries and Benefits Code of the City of Medina, Ohio, relative to the payroll clerk and approving the new payroll clerk job description.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on both the emergency clause and the ordinance. Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. The emergency clause is because this got hung up because of a scheduling change with civil service and should have been here a long time ago. The request we discussed at Finance is to increase the pay for the payroll clerk to be competitive with other cities in the area.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance and/or the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 154-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15524, an ordinance amending section 3105 of the Salaries and Benefits Code of the City of Medina, Ohio, relative to the account clerk 2 in the Service Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Pacoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this position existed long ago. Prior to Mayor Hanwell taking office, it was eliminated upon retirement. So looking back, the position has been, we have 4 different people doing the job at that desk at sometimes in a given week. So there's been some things lost, and just you don't have the consistency and the continuity. So in talking during the budget process, and as we talked about in finance, the best thing to do is bring this position back. Civil Service reestablished that position last week at the monthly meeting, and we do have a person who is part-time that is dedicated and committed, and then we will reduce some of the other hours. So no one's losing their jobs as the part-timers. Actually, one of the part-timers is becoming full-time, and then we'll rotate a part-time person in place as needed. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the ordinance? And this was discussed at the budget process, so this isn't new. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Ordinance 155-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15624, an ordinance amending section 3105 of the Salaries and Benefits Code of the City of Medina, Ohio, relative to the motor equipment operators in the street department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. McCauley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So similar in discussions with our street budget this year, we're looking at different tasks taken on by the street department, a lot more camera duties with respect to televising problem areas. We did take on the maintenance of the airport, and I think we're in year 3. And again, as I stated in the finance, the fellows don't complain about going to the airport. They love going out there mowing and being out there because it's a nice piece of parcel. It's a nice big area and peaceful. The need is there, though, with respect to an additional motor equipment operator.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 156-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15724, an ordinance amending sections 3102B8 and 3105 of the Salaries and Benefits Code of the City of Medina, Ohio, relative to the sanitation department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. McCauley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as we discussed in the sanitation budget, we've been running with part-time labor for quite a long time, I believe, I want to say the last 15, 16 years. That pool's dried up. We currently have the 2 positions that are represented here, if council passes, are the 2 labor positions that we want to eliminate 3 part-timers that we don't even have. And there's 2 youngsters that are in full-time positions in other departments that have transferred over to sanitation on paper voluntarily. They just like working in sanitation and given a life sentence there, if you will. With that being said, this will clean that up. We do not have any part-timers in reserve. We'll be looking hopefully for full-time employees as we go forward and having those discussions.
Thank you. You made a lot of changes to the departments. A lot of money being spent there, but okay. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of the ordinance?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 157-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15824, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for the auction, sale, or disposal of city equipment and vehicles no longer in use.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You
This
again.
we didn't discuss during the budget process. This is something that we do annually. This is our annual city auction. So we are scheduled for October 26th of this year, which is a Saturday. There's quite a few items, trucks, vehicles, a lot of miscellaneous items from IT, court, everywhere, all the different departments. The auction will begin at 10, and it will be at the City Garage, 781 West Smith Road. The list will be on the website as well. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Ordinance 158-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 15924, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2 portable traffic signals from A&A Safety, Inc. for the service and street departments.
Move to approve.
Discussion. Mr. McCullough, do you just want to take over the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. President. So if you remember, in April, the council allowed us to apply for a grant through, it's a safety incentive grant through the Ohio Workers' Comp. We were successful, and so we were successful with $40,000. We're looking at the 2 portable trailer-mounted traffic signals, which we've been looking at for a long time. Prior, they were about $100,000. We were able to secure with the state vendor from A&A for $63,100. The grant will cover $40,000. The city's obligation will be $23,100.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 159-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16024, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2024 Ford F-150 pickup truck from Montrose Ford for the sanitation department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Last one. Thank you, Mr. President. So this is for authorization of an F-150 pickup for the sanitation department. You heard the lieutenant talk about through the CUE, through Montrose Ford. We may not see the vehicle by year end. I'm not sure. We're still waiting upon approval. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption ordinance?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Ordinance 160-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16124, an ordinance authorizing the expenditure to MNJ Technologies for computer, laptop, and monitor upgrades for the various departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President?
Mr. Shields?
The emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on both the emergency clause and the ordinance. Sergeant Zaremba.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for various departments, computer, laptop, and monitor upgrades. One of the things we're running into is Windows 11 is very hardware intense, and some of our older PCs and laptops are in need of upgrade. Windows 10 is going to be no longer supported in October of 2024. So, sorry, 2025. I'm having a hard time with these years. So I want to make sure I get ahead of the curve and have these units in place before then. Need the emergency clause because they give us a 30-day quote on it, even though it's state bid, so we try to get within that. Plus, we've got some security vulnerabilities on some of those Windows 10 machines.
Okay. Any further discussion on either the emergency clause or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of emergency clause?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes. Oh,
Ordinance 161-24 passes 5-0.
sorry about that, Danny. Ordinance 16224, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and award a contract to the successful bidder for the airport hangar apron improvement project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a project that will replace the pavement on the west side of the southernmost F-row hangars out at our airport. The pavement in that section is failing. It actually presents a danger to the aircraft. I'd point out that $180,000 of this is being paid through the ARPA funds.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of the ordinance?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Ordinance 162-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16324, an ordinance amending ordinance number 9523, passed May 22nd, 2023, relative to the agreement with IMGIS for Geographic Information Systems GIS services.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ordinance that we are amending was passed in '23, was a 3-year agreement with IMGIS for $42,000. This, we're asking to increase that amount by $2,750 to enhance our GIS capabilities, specifically by adding what's known as Eagle View.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 163-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16424, an ordinance establishing a celebrations fund, number 172.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have in the past created funds. We created one for the bicentennial and so on. This will just create one fund that we can just roll on and we don't have to keep doing this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Ordinance 164-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16524, an ordinance authorizing the finance director to make certain fund transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Durham.
This is part of the last ordinance, moving the money to the new fund.
Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption of the ordinance.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 165-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16624, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a standard form of agreement between the city of Medina and Rulon Company as constructor for the renovation of the 1969 former Medina County Courthouse building to house the Medina Municipal Court.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
this ordinance needs to be amended to add the funding information, so I'll make a motion to amend it. Or move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Shields.
This ordinance needs to be amended to add the funding information, so I'll move to amend it at this point.
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? And the amendment is to put, do we have the account numbers yet?
They were in there. I thought that Kathy sent them. Yeah,
I don't have them on mine. Wait a minute.
it was in the email.
Well, we're going to split the information from the 701 capital funds account. Half the costs will come from that. I mean, yeah, the 301, I'm sorry, it's not the 701. And then the special projects fund at the court will be the other 50% of the cost under this contract. Okay, you can read the numbers for cats, okay.
Okay, the total is 38,335, and split in half, it's 19,167.50 from 169-0716-54412, and the same amount out of account number 301-0716-54412.
Thank you, Mayor. Any
Yes,
further
sir.
discussion on the amendment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the amendment?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance as amended?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 166-24 passes 5-0 as amended.
Ordinance 16724, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a test purchase agreement with Grail Inc. to participate in the Geller multi-cancer early detection screenings for the City of Medina firefighters.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President.
Ms. Shields?
The emergency clause has been requested. I move to add at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on both the emergency clause and the ordinance. Chief Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. This request is for the firefighter cancer screenings that we discussed earlier this year at the Health, Safety, and Sanitation Committee meeting and at the prior Finance Committee meeting. The emergency clause is requested so that we can secure an opening in the company's schedule to conduct those screenings on September 26th and 27th.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the emergency clause and or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of emergency clause?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 167-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16824, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to grant one utility easement to Legacy Hotel of Medina LLC for the Legacy Hotel project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President.
Ms. Shields?
The emergency clause has been requested. I move to add at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on the ordinance and the emergency clause. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city granting this easement to the Legacy Hotel will allow them to install certain utilities, namely water, power, and storm sewer, within the city's property, our parking lot that's located just south of the proposed project. We're asking for the emergency clause so as not to hold up their construction. I would note there are several easements between the city and the hotel that we're going to have to enact. This is the one that's time critical as it allows them to do work on our property, and not passing it would slow them down.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance and or the emergency clause? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of emergency clause?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 168-24 passes 5-0.
Ordinance 16924, an ordinance accepting the dedication of a portion of Mast Parkway and easement dedication and vacation plat.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Patton. Is that you?
Thank you.
Oh,
I'll
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'll
Dunn.
take it. Thank you, Mr. President. This is an ordinance to accept .0628 acres at the center of Mass Parkway. It's currently a grass area. The dedication will allow us to use it for right-of-way, essentially making Mass Parkway a cul-de-sac with one access to the rear of Acme. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
DeSalvo.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 169-24 passes 5-0.
I think that was the last one. Is that it? That's it.
Can we do more?
Any council comments?
I do.
What?
Oh,
Mr. Simpson always goes, we gotta be
Okay.
kind first.
Short and sweet, because I know the meeting's been long. There's going to be a lot of discussions over the next few months over the upcoming elections. Just remember to be kind to one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Salvo.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind anybody out there, I believe that the season for the hunting starts on September 28th. So we want to encourage anyone who wants to get a license to go ahead and fill out that paperwork so we can get that underway. That's it.
And Lieutenant Markin, can you just give a quick update as she brought that up so everybody will know what's going on and how many people applied and where you stand currently?
Thank you, Mr. President. We've had one completed application so far, several phone calls. I expect probably at least six more applications here in the next couple of weeks.
Good, so the program's starting out, if everybody recalls, last year, the voters passed a ballot measure to permit the hunting program to start, and we are going through the hunting program first in the areas that we've spoken about. There's been a lot of questions of why don't we hunt in the parks, and I think as part of the process, we said, hey, wait, we're not going to hunt in the parks first because the people voted and said they want to try out the residential areas, hunting in the industrial areas to see how that would go. So this will be the first full season that allows that to occur, and we'll assess it and see how many hunters partake in that, how many deer are called and harvested, and then we'll make a determination is if we're managing the numbers of the deer in the city limits to a level that is safe for the residents. Because I know Mr. Piccoli just mentioned before the rut occurs, which is the fall season, there have been 84 deer that have been collected from the roadways, which means they've been hit by cars. So, and that's not even in the active part of the season yet, and we probably anticipate, what, 20 more, 25 more? 40 more? So we're trying to protect people's cars because we don't want 40 more incidents to occur in our streets with vehicles, because that would be dangerous both to the driver and, of course, it's deadly to the deer, right? So we want to protect that. So thank you, Natalie, for that information. Any other council comments? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.